Welcome to this tutorial for our Google group. We are going to link out to our objectives for today, starting at Widgeo. And today we're going to be covering Google Forms and how spreadsheets kind of interact with the form, and we'll also talk about using spreadsheets. And we're going to create Google Docs and take some notes and leave some comments, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how Google presentations can also be shared. So we will start today on the spreadsheet. And on the spreadsheet, looks like a couple of you guys have taken initiative and already kind of set things up. I actually changed this question, so I'm going to get you guys to resubmit your answers here. What we're looking to do is use this and collaborate in real time. So it's kind of like our icebreaker today. We can see that on a spreadsheet you could have multiple people working at the same time on all these boxes and be able to see each other's work real time. So we'll do this in our computer lab, but this could also be done by projecting in the classroom and using mobile devices. I think there's a lot of different uses, and we're going to talk about how maybe you would use it, and that's kind of what we're talking about with this question here. But first, all we're asking is just to fill in your name, and then we're going to go out to our forms. So what I would like you to do is you're going to be watching this video and participating along. So to create a form, we're going to go to Google and we're going to sign in. And I have my accounts here, but if you click sign in, it's going to give you a page that looks something like this, and it'll ask you for your username. Just put your Google username in. You don't have to put @Gmail in, but if you were using your LRA account, you would want to put your username at lrhsd.org, and then your password would be whatever your password is. So we're going to log in. And then we're going to create a form. So if you go up to the top of the page here at Google, you can click to Apps, and then in this Apps section you're going to see your Drive. So Google Drive is kind of like Microsoft Office, but Google style. And the best part is all these documents are basically websites that are shareable. So the URL, this link at the top here of whatever page that you would be on, is the most current version of how it's been edited. So it's so much easier than using attachments and sending attachments in email. And if there's ever any changes or comments, it's all real time. You'll see it, and you never have to worry about, is this the latest version of the edited document. So first, we're just going to start at the Create menu. And Google's kind of simplifies their interface. We got a lot of white space and then a big red box right here, or a big blue box up here to kind of clue you in on the functions of the page. So Create and Form. And we're going to go out to a form now. So you can pick a pretty theme if you want. I stick with the simple ones. And we're going to make this a titled form, so just do your name. And then example form. And I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to say OK. So here's my title. If you wanted to change it, you could do that at any time. And then we're going to do some questions. So first question, I always do the name, first name, then the last name, so that you can sort it alphanumerically in your spreadsheet later. So I'll show you that in a minute. So we can say first name, and we don't want this to be multiple choice, just basic text. It's a very short little box in the form, and we're going to make it required. And then we're going to add last name, and this is again basic text, and we're going to make it required. I'm going to say done. So now we have a first name and a last name box. And then what I'm asking you to do in our objective is create a form. And we're going to create a form, and I'll put the directions in the video. So I didn't type it down here. You can just follow along with what we're doing. I thought I had listed some directions here. So back to our form. And in the form, we're going to add one of each. So I want you to kind of play around with what each of these questions are. So you can add an item and then change the question type. So we've already done text. We can do paragraph, text, and then maybe you can say list some ways you would use a Google form, and then make it paragraph text. And I'm not going to make this one required. If you choose to answer it, you can. So this would come up as a larger box. We'll add a multiple choice, and we could say for the question, pick your favorite Google app, and we're going to say Docs and Forms and Spreadsheet and we'll call this one presentation, and we'll leave it like that and say okay, done. And we can add another one and switch to checkboxes and say check all that apply. And I'm just going to go through some basics here and leave it kind of blank. Done. And we can add a scale. So on a scale of 1 to 5, rate this, and we'll leave it 1 to 5, and 1 being worst, 5 being best. Say done. And then here you can kind of pick which next one you're going to insert, what kind of questions. We can add an item again, and we did scale grid. I'm not quite sure how I would use grid. That might be something that you want to play with. I'm not going to cover it here. Date, maybe, you could do something like birth, date, or anything that you needed. And say done. Then add item, time. Yeah, maybe pick time for our meeting, for our next meeting. Say done. So we have the ability to kind of use these forms and send these forms out to an audience, and then you get a lot of data back. And the data is a neatly sorted data. You get it back in a spreadsheet that's time-stamped as to when people took or responded to the form. And you also can show the data with some simple menu items that kind of give you a summary of the data. So let's see what this looks like. So once you're done with your form, you say send form. And you have the big blue things at the top. So again, Google kind of shows you what to clue in on. And send form. And now link to share. You could send it either via email right here through all your Google contacts, or you can share on social networks, or you can copy this and put this on your eBoard website, or send it out to an email to the entire staff. It gives you lots of options here. So we're going to say done, and I copied that, and then I'm going to go back to our icebreaker spreadsheet, and I'm going to paste my form link in there. And then I'm going to also show the answers in a minute. So let's Command T gives you a new tab. So I just added this tab over here. And Command V is going to paste in what my form looks like. So this is what the form it looks like on the user side. So I could say, required, and then collecting data. And you could elaborate here if you wanted to. I really like forms. I'm checking options 1 and 2. This is the best. My birthday. $19.80. All right. And then time for our next meeting. Let's say 1:00 p.m. Yeah, that's not going to work. We're not going to be in midterm. So let's say 2:30 p.m. and then you could like use another field to pick the date or something like that, and then you would get kind of an average of everybody's date. I'm not sure if that's the best way to collect times for meetings, but it gives you an option. So we'll submit that, and then here is where you can see the data. So if I go back over to my drive, you're going to have in your drive the form and the spreadsheet. So this is the spreadsheet, this is the form, and it tells you this is the responses from your form. So I've just submitted my responses, and this is what the spreadsheet would then look like. A timestamp of when I submitted my response, first name, last name, and then all of my answers. And what I like to do is at the top here, I could then sort by, if you click this little arrow here, maybe it's not giving me sorting options because I only have one submission. Let's go back to the form and add another response. And I'm going to go back to my responses. Now, there you go. So it gives you the sorting options. So I like to collect first name and last name on every one, and then I can sort A to Z or Z to A if you wanted to do it alphabetically, or I can sort by time stamping, which it automatically does. So I can say, last response would be Z, so then, that last one that I just did would come up first. So that's kind of how you can use forms to collect data, and it gives you all this really neatly sorted information. And then, like I was saying before, you could where is it, form, and then show summary of responses. It gives you kind of a neater look, like some pie charts and some bar graphs, that kind of stuff. It's just a really easy way to get the responses kind of graphed out and give you some quick answers. And then you could use all of the Excel-like functions to be able to graph this data as well. So, that's a more complex skill. And there's lots of help on Google. If you were to Google questions that you have on how to sort data or how to use formulas and that kind of stuff, Google has tons of help articles or videos that would give you the answer there. So Google Forms is an awesome way to collect data and kind of assess your students in all different types of ways. So here you could be asking them, summarize the article that you were supposed to read, or give me some feedback on something, and then you would get all of their answers in one spot on a spreadsheet. Pretty awesome. So what I would like you to do is then share this to finish up this exercise. And you're going to take the link here. So I'm going to copy this link. Hang on a second. We are going to change these preferences first. So who has access? Right now, this is private. Only me, the person who created the form, can see this. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to make this public on the web so that anybody can see it. So anyone can see it or view it. You can even change it so anybody can edit or anybody can comment. So like you could collect all this data from your students and then make it back public back to your students. So I'm going to say just can comment so nobody can change the data in the different fields, but they could highlight the data and leave a comment. We're going to go over that with Google Docs as well. So we'll save this, and now here's the link to share that spreadsheet, so they're going to be able to see this. Now I can copy this. Command C is copy, or right click and copy, however you know how to copy, and then say done. And I'm going to go back to our Google group, and I'm going to paste in my shared link. And then anybody who comes to this form would then be able to go to my form and also see my shared link so that they can kind of see the data that I'm pulling off of this form, and also comment on it. That's how we set it up. Okay, and now here what I would like you to do is list how you would use forms and spreadsheets maybe to collect some assessments in your class. Just list a couple things here. And then the next thing I wanted to do is go over to Google Docs. So I've made on our objectives, please, or here we go. This video will be linked up here as soon as I'm done creating it. And what we want to do is use this link that is explained in the video. So I'm going to click on the link and I'm going to click out to this document. So this document is giving you some directions. What I would like you to do when you get to this document is highlight this text. Then in the menu above, click Insert Comment. So you can say Insert Comment. That's one way to do it. There's also a comment link right here. You can control click or right click and you can say comment. And there's also a key command, and I believe that's Command Shift M. Let me try that. So highlight the text, Command Shift M. No, maybe Command Option M. There it is. So Command Option M gives you this little comment field, and that's the same if you were to click here or say Insert Comment. And then what I'm asking you is type in your name and make my comment, and there you can see that this text is highlighted and this is the comment next to the text. So if you were to ask students to share a Google Doc with you, and then you can do some commenting markup on their work to leave them some feedback, or you can have them read each other's work and leave comments as well in the margin here, and then they can go back and make changes and do that kind of stuff. So it's a very quick way to have feedback on a document, and the best part about all this is it happens real time. So you could do this, and as soon as it's left, it's immediately there, and the student could be like working on the document at the same time. You leave your comment, and boop, it appears right on the document at that time. So it's like, instead of like collecting papers and reading it and marking it up and then handing it back and then expecting something to come of it, they could be working on it at that moment, and you could be giving them feedback, and they could be making corrections or acting on the feedback. So that, I think, is how we can speed up the learning process. So that's kind of commenting here, and then we're going to say File, make a copy, and then you're going to rename where it says Copy Of. And then I want you to answer this question. So this is kind of how you could do homework. You could create a document, link it up on your e-board or your website, and we could say share at the top of the document, and this gets into share settings, and we'll talk more about this. But sharing, you want to say change here, and it's letting you know that anyone can see this and anyone can comment. If you wanted people to edit, that's like the least restrictive on a document. Just can view, then they can see it. They can't comment, they can't edit. So I mean, this is how I use it. I always go public on the web. You could share privately or share anyone with the link if you wanted to be a little bit more secure, but there really is no reason to do it. It's a public learning environment. When people are learning together, being accountable and doing it in front of everybody is part of the experience. So public on the web, can comment is how this document is currently set up. So you could do the same thing, public on the web, and put this link. If we click save here, you copy this link up to your e-board and say click on this, and then follow the directions on the document. And then they click on this, and then it comes to this page, and then you could ask them to make a copy of it so that they're not overwriting your document. They have now made a copy in their drive. So if I say File, make a copy, I'm going to get rid of copy of, and I'm going to Pistone using Google Docs for assessments. I'm going to say OK. So it creates a brand new tab opens up with this new document that is now renamed. So here is our document that's renamed. If you need to rename a document, you can click on it and change the name right up at the top there. But if you look in the drive, then you're going to see that my drive, I should be able to see this now. If I refresh it, maybe there's going to be using Google Docs for assessment, and then here it is. So here was the copy that I initially made, and then, or the first document that we made that everybody starts with, and then you're going to see in your own Google Drive that there's a copy there. So when I say you, I mean like your students. So you'd be able to follow along and see that you now have a copy of this in your drive. So each student has a Google account. Each student would now have their own name / whatever you called the assessment, and then you can have them answer questions and then share it back with you. That's one way to do it. We'll start there. So if we go back over to our document, you can see at the top here it's named, and then it has this prompt, and then we're gonna answer the question. So ask, or let's say link up a doc on my e-board, then have students make a copy, then answer questions, then share it back to me. So let's do that. So at this point we've linked up a document that brought you here. Then we had you guys make a copy. Then we just answered this question right here, and then we're going to share it back. So click the share button, and you can say invite people, and you can send it right to the teacher. So whatever you tell them, whatever your Google Doc account is that you're using, you can say, alright, send it to my @Gmail account. And because I've made this, it's not really going to work, but we can say share, and it would have sent the teacher an email in their whatever account you have them send it to right here. So in my case it would have been my Gmail account, saying that so and so shared this document with you. So you'd get 25 emails that night for homework, and then you could click on each of those links and go and leave them feedback. So just like if you were to have them hand in pieces of paper, and then you would take out your briefcase and open up your folder and take each piece of paper and flip through, read it, and leave red pen comments on it. Here we can now highlight some text and click the comment button and leave them some feedback, and then they would see it real time and be able to correct it. There's no need to hand things back and forth, or what's the most current version of the Word document that you're sending me. That kind of eliminates all of that. So that's what we kind of wanted to accomplish with this exercise. And then if you share it and make it public, like I think I have back on our, here it is, group day 1, docs link, that's what I would like you to link up. So I'm going to start closing some stuff. Not this one, the one that says Pistone, yes. We're going to share this with the group so everybody can see what your responses were. We can click change because we don't want it to be private, we want it to be public, and we'll leave it so that anyone can comment. And we'll say save, and now anybody would be able to access this link. Command C, copy, done. I'm going to go back to my docs link, and now I have my docs link linked up. And then the last thing is presentation. So I'm already pretty far along in the video. I'm trying to keep it as short as I can. So I'm going to really blast through a presentation as fast as I can. So in your drive, I'm going to create a presentation. Or if you already have a PowerPoint, you can upload the PowerPoint file and convert it to the Google Doc format. So I'm just going to show the create side. If you go to presentation, comes up, and we're going to call this, when it comes up, it's still loading. There we go. Okay, so it's asking you to choose a theme. So let's see what we got here. We'll do the wave and say OK. And then just like PowerPoint, it gives you the option to kind of make slides and go along with your presentation, adding different slides afterwards and adding text, and we'll title the presentation example. Say OK. I'm not going to go through all the functions. It's very similar to PowerPoint, and you can, by clicking around or going to Google to get some help, you Google your questions, you'd be able to create your document. What I do want to do is again go through the share settings. You can click into share. Right now, again, this is private. Only you can access it in your Google Drive. Nobody else can see it. But this is the link to it. If you wanted to share it, you have to click change, public on the web. Anyone can view. Again, if you wanted multiple people to work on the same presentation, you can say click. Anybody can edit. Anybody can comment. I'll leave it at that. Say save. And I'm going to copy this link. Command C again, or control clicking, copy, or edit, copy, or however you want to do it. And we're going to go back over to the spreadsheet and paste in the presentation link. And that's going to pretty much do it for what we're trying to accomplish here. What I'd recommend is you guys take one of each of these different applications, a form, a spreadsheet, a doc, and a presentation, and adapt whatever you already are using, and I'm guaranteeing that you can speed up one of those processes. That if you're not currently using these in your classroom, it'll make things faster, easier on your students, mobile, shareable, collaborative. It's just a lot faster. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions, please let me know.